Parthiban Kanavu, English translation by Anand Kannan, narrated by Sujatha Anand. Book 3, Chapter 37. Neelakesi. A series of astonishing events took place after Sirithondar emerged from behind the boulder. It was hard to say how, but many armed soldiers magically kept appearing on the scene out of the rocky terrain. An even more magical event was that the sage, who had lain bound on the rock somehow, had freed himself and jumped down to the ground. Meanwhile, Sirithondar kept walking towards Kapalabhairavan, who had a look of terror on his face. His panic seemed to increase as Sirithondar came closer. Sirithondar looked straight at him and called out, "You phony Kapalik! On the altar of Holy Mother Kali, tell everyone who you really are." Kapalabhairavan stepped back 2 paces, seemed to lose his strength, stumbled and fell to the ground. The assembly of Kali worshippers seemed to grow restless at this and uttered a collective groan. Vikraman was concerned that the fanatical assembly could cause trouble. Ponnan, on the other hand, was watching the scene with a mixture of wonder and devotion. The Kapaliks rushed towards the fallen Kapalabhairavan. Sirithondar quickly clambered up the sacrificial altar. He said, "Devotees of Mother Kali, please come closer. I am going to tell you the truth about the one-handed man who has been deceiving you with the false identity as Kapalabhairavan." People were already bemused on seeing Kapalabhairavan's panic on encountering Sirithondar. On hearing this, they surrounded him and looked at him with curiosity. Sirithondar addressed them in a loud, commanding voice. "Listen, my people! We are all born in this holy Tamil land. Many great spiritual leaders were born here and have imparted their wisdom. They have provided discourses on the true nature of God and our true path to God. Tirumular said, "Anbum Sivamum Irandanbar Aruvillar." This translates to, "Those who speak of God and love as 2 separate things are ignorant." The Vaishnavite sage has said, "Anbe tagaliyai arvame neyyaga, inbugu sindai idutturiyai, nanburugi ஞானச்சுடர் விளக்கேற்றினேன்." This translates to, "I lit the light of wisdom using love as the lamp, enthusiasm as clarified butter, my blissful mind as the wick, my soul melting in the process." Amidst such spiritual thoughts that have flourished in our country, we also have beliefs such as Kapalikam and Bhairavam that pollute people's minds. Some people are promoting terrible practices such as human sacrifice and meat-based offerings to gods. How ignorant is it to believe that Lord Shiva, who is true love personified, and Shakti, who is characterized by kindness, will appreciate human sacrifice. Scriptures say things like, Lord Shiva holds a skull in his hand, and Shakti wears a garland of skulls. Learned people have taught us that these are said in a symbolic and metaphysical sense, rather than in a crude, literal sense. Despite the best efforts to such wise people, how did human sacrifice take hold, and in this holy land? Who has been evangelizing these evil practices? My friend here, the Shaivite sage, and I have been working to find answers and get to the root of such evil. My friend succeeded in those efforts and has discovered the truth. A voice asked, "But who is he?" Several voices added, "And where is he?" The sage appeared to have slipped away quietly in the confusion caused by Sirithondar's appearance. Sirithondar continued, "If you attend the event in Urayur in 2 days, you will discover the holy sage's identity. Now, you should hear the truth on Kapalabhairavan, the man lying here on the ground trembling. Do you recall that Pulikesi, the king of Vatapi, marched with his forces on the Tamil country in Emperor Mahendra Pallava's days? Many voices assented. Yes, we remember. Then you may also remember the atrocities that the tyrant Pulikesi and his armies committed in the Tamil countryside, and how his army breached our trust. After Emperor Mahendra Pallava passed away, our Emperor Narasimhavarman and I marched on Vatapi for a retaliatory attack, as you know. In the battle that took place near the fort of Vatapi, the Tamil forces destroyed the armies of Vatapi. Emperor Narasimhavarman had ordered us not to let any Vatapi soldier escape alive. In contravention of those orders, I had let a man escape. The man had lost his arm in the battle. He fell on my feet and begged for refuge. I did not have the heart to kill a man who had sought refuge. I had let him escape. He was Neelakesi, the brother of Pulikesi. Neelakesi was even more cruel than his tyrannical brother. There were loud exclamations from the crowd. Words such as, "Such a betrayal!" "Fraud!" were heard in the chatter. Sirathondar waited for the noise to die down and resumed. "When I told the emperor that I let him escape, the emperor felt that I had made a big mistake. He warned me there would be dire consequences for my action. He turned out to be right. This man, Neelakesi, took advantage of the confusion and disillusionment among people during the time of the great drought. He came to this holy land and started spreading the dark practices of Kapalikam and human sacrifice. Do you know why? What he could not achieve with his might, he wanted to achieve with his guile. He wanted you to conspire against our emperor. He had been accumulating dangerous weapons, thousands of axes and swords in the caves of the Kolli hills." Kapala Bhairavan uttered a loud, angry exclamation of, "Arg!" "Yes, and all those have been removed upon our emperor's orders." He had also planned to use Vikraman, the Chola prince, as a part of that conspiracy. He had imprisoned King Parthiban's wife, Vikraman's mother, Queen Arulmozhi, to use as leverage in his efforts. Kapala Bhairavan got to his feet at this point. He seemed to have recovered his poise. He asked, "This is all a lie. Where is your proof?" "I am the proof," said a voice. It was Marapan, who walked to the middle from the shades of a tree. "Yes, I can serve as a witness. This man, Neelakesi, is not really a Kapalik. He is an impostor. He has been conspiring against our great emperor. He asked me to participate in his schemes. I refused. Then he tried to get this banished Chola prince to help with his conspiracy. He arranged to intercept the soldiers who were taking the arrested prince to Kanchi and bring him here." Sirathondar said, "That is enough, Marappa." It is impossible for us to guess Marapan's motives. He might have wanted to distance himself from Kapala Bhairavan. Or he may have been incensed that Kapala Bhairavan spoke of crowning Vikraman as the prince of the new kingdom. Regardless of the motive, he did something unexpected. He pulled out his sword. He stepped closer to Kapala Bhairavan and spoke. "This man conspired against our great emperor. Let me sacrifice him to Mother Kali." Before anyone could react, he swung his sword and beheaded Kapala Bhairavan. Everyone stood stunned. Marapan turned towards Sirathondar and fell on his feet. He said, "My lord, I did that out of anger. Please forgive me." Another unexpected event followed. Chitraguptan, the dwarf, jumped up and landed near the sacrificial altar. He threw his knife at Marapan, who was still lying prostrate on the ground. The knife pierced Marapan's neck. The Pallava soldiers surrounded Chitraguptan and captured him. Chitraguptan just cackled. Vikraman was revolted beyond words at these events that had happened in a few moments. Although he was accustomed to soldiers killing each other in a battlefield, he had found these senseless murders disturbing. He turned to Ponnan and said, "Ponna, let's go." Then he noticed the Pallava soldiers who had surrounded him as well. The leader of the soldiers showed him a palm scroll. The scroll had the emperor's seal. It had the orders for Vikraman to be brought to Urayur, where his trial would take place. Vikraman read the scroll and looked around. His hand went to his sword. Ponnan said, "My king, please don't act in haste." Sirthondar saw all this and asked, "What is in that scroll?" The lead soldier showed him. After reading the message, Sirthondar addressed Vikraman. "Vikrama, comply with these orders and go to Urayur. I am going to take your mother and go there as well. When the emperor hears what happened here, he is bound to change his mind. Don't do anything hasty." Ponnan and Vikraman left the area surrounded by the soldiers. Sirthondar stayed a little longer and provided a discourse on the kindness of God and how misguided the notion of sacrifice was. The crowd, which had a mixture of people who came to sacrifice themselves and who came to sacrifice others, went home, discussing the noble man who effected a timely intervention. There was also considerable speculation as to who the sage might really be. End of chapter 37.